You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherlands calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is Africa. Like I said, today we would be having the pleasure to meet Brother Taki Grant. And like I was just having a conversation a couple of seconds with him, like, I know all of us are really going to be paying attention to everything that he's going to tell us tonight, ever than before, because a brother like this that put out such a mega event, not just any kind of event, um, tying the umbilical cord that was untied decades ago. Um, I mean, we're not going to ignore anything, right? Like, I mean, I just want to say, if we have to write a Bible, who's going to be the Jesus, the black Jesus now? Who are we going to be seen as the prophets around us? So I think Africans are writing their Bible now. The universe is writing the new Bible, the true Bible, the original Bible, and the prophets are coming in every part. So if you look at a character like this, and if you were still in the former Africa, and you want to begin to define what the new Africa should look like, or what today we call, since yesterday, this is Africa. It means this is exactly the way it's supposed to be, who it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to be defined. So I'm actually thanking all of you that has been anticipating, and some of the elders that even reach out to me are like, this is a great thing to do. We just want to hear and get some feedback. And I want to remind you, the whole, not just the whole team, but the key members and organizers and speakers and observers also are going to be sharing their experiences with us this week, like I announced yesterday. And so, yes, while we're not going to waste time a lot, because we have a lot to engage in, and I think Brother Grant is still really tired, no matter how man he is, how king he is. I don't see him, going through all these hurdles, trying to locate an event that was canceled into another city. I mean, the anxiety must have been so much. But like a king that he is, Africans were always like, no, it's okay, I'm fine. But I think we have to protect his peace and his health, and would would actually not drain or consume him a lot tonight. So, like I said again yesterday, welcome, beautiful May, and welcome to all of you that are tuning in. And thank you yesterday for the introduction of our May event, and everyone that tuned in. Everybody's just like, yes, that was a piece that we had to hear. So, not wasting too much of our time, I hope all of you are connecting from your different platforms. Make sure you're seated, make sure you have your water, because we're really going to be drinking our water and minding our African business tonight. And we want to know from Brother Taki. Good evening and welcome, brother. I mean,
Thank you so much.
how when you sit down, you sit back. I haven't seen you lost your smile, not even a bit. You're still even as fresh as I thought. I was thinking he was gonna come here and say, "Oh, please, Susan, give me some time to relax." But you seem already so relaxed, brother. How are you doing? Welcome to Pan
I'm
African Day.
doing, thank you so much. Doing awesome. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being part of the One Africa Power and Unity Conference. It was an amazing experience. You did an amazing job. Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you also, brother. I mean, what does it actually, if you just sit down today and you look at, I don't know, I think how many years have you been working on this? I mean, taking from the original plan from Egypt up to now, how many months, how many years? What
It
is the
wasn't.
work?
I would say it wasn't years. Um, I'd say about 9 months from the original plan. Yeah, we started just with the notion. In fact, when we originally planned to go to Egypt this year in February, we planned it like in the summertime, like around July, and we had a trip. It was a 10-day trip, and it was cool. Then I started having conversations with people about possibly doing something more extensive in Egypt, and the conference idea was born. But some of the elders or presenters on the panel, we were like, okay, let's do it. So we extended the 10-day to 11-day to add for the conference day, and we just started going with it, and it was working. Everything was fine until we got into the beginning of February, and we started to get all this negative feedback online. People started to say we were coming there, and the notion around the conference that we were coming there to start trouble, right? And I couldn't be further from the truth, because we were going to be isolated to what we were doing. We weren't inviting locals to the conference. It wasn't for them. We had about almost 200 people just in our group alone. So we had enough to sustain the conference momentum just with our own people. What they were saying by and large, this what kind of got the online activity shifted to people in the street, because they were saying we were coming there to start a revolution. They were saying we were coming there to create hostility between Nubians and Egyptians. All these things that they were saying were untrue. Al Jazeera got in. Al Jazeera produced this video, which I thought was interesting, that they even picked it up. All the major magazines and newspapers in Egypt picked it up. And they made it something that we weren't trying to do. In fact, they gave it more momentum and more steam than it originally had. Had they left the conference alone, it'd have been probably more obscure in Aswan than it was in Detroit. You understand what I'm saying? Had they just left it where it was. But I want to make mention to this. My contacts in Egypt, people I was dealing with on the ground, told me that the Egyptian government did not have a problem with it. They said, go ahead, just do it. As long as I don't like get involved with anything else, they didn't really care what we were doing, because we were isolated, and they were okay with that. People come to Egypt all the time. They do their lectures and things like that. So it wasn't a big deal for them, you know. But there were people outside of the government that was making it a big deal. And that's kind of how it got crazy, to a point people decided just to go ahead and we canceled it. But before we even canceled it, I started thinking where would be the best place to do it. And, you know, Felicia mentioned, you know, maybe another country in Africa. The international piece is always very challenging, because it takes a lot of resources to do it. Egypt worked because we had the trip around it, and we were able to absorb the cost of the conference, particularly the speakers and getting them there, with the cost of the trip. So it worked. I worked out the economic plan, so it made sense. But I started thinking, if we're not going to do an international piece, we have to put it in a city that we know we can have the quickest and most effective mobilization. And that was Detroit. And I see Ron Spears on the line now. I just want to give a big shout out to Ron Spears. He was one of the people that we identified as individuals that we would have in these key city that could help put it together in a very short period of time, because it all came together in a month. You know, and the conference was very different from the original plan in Egypt. The plan in Egypt was, or the conversation, let me say, was strictly about an academic, historical information. You know, it was more about the connectivity of cultures in Africa, and people that was presenting papers on their study on how, you know, the Ankh and the Kaaba is connected. You know, how Wolof and the Medu Neter is connected. That was the conversation. It was purely about those things. And the theme was the connectivity of African cultures, returning to the source. Thus, we called it One Africa, returning to the source with the now, the happy. So from there, it shifted to a more global discussion, right? So from One Africa, return to the source, to One Africa, power and unity. Now we're talking about information that's germane to the universal African experience. So it went from very small information, not small, but small in those who may be interested, versus something that everyone in the Black world will be interested in, you know? So in Detroit, we had conversations about Black love, economics, community empowerment, history, anthropology, language, All those different things were a part of that discussion, which wasn't a part of the original discussion in Egypt, which made this conference so beautiful. And I'm just so thankful to everyone that was a part of it. And I'm honored. I feel blessed. People ask me, how'd you do it? I said, I didn't do anything. I said, the way I described this process is almost like, I'm trying to figure out the rated G way for saying this. I said it very different ways, but making a baby, you don't do much. You know, you have the intercourse piece, but after that, nature takes over and it does all the work. You don't do anything else. That's what this was like. You plant the seed and everything else just grew from there. I didn't really do much of it. You know what I mean? We were involved, but there are forces greater than us that pretty much were in control of it throughout the whole process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolute. It's quite interesting because most of the time, particularly like us Africans, we actually don't believe that this is really the time. And we still don't believe because we're so far from even accepting that this could be real. Do you think that, you know, the notion of us, even when the signs are there, we don't see the signs? Like the example where you said, you know, the whole noise and the fears and everything was actually transcending what is just small, and that you were not even looking at it that way to make it something very big and give that. Some of these forces could also be identified to the fact that, you know, we're pushed to even accept the reality because we keep thinking we're so small. Oh, we just want to do our small thing, mind our business. But the universe is like, no, you can just not be small. You can stay small. This is how you are. Al Jazeera and all this, the government, and you just wanted to, we're doing a round trip and just sit in a corner on the seashores and tell our stories. But then, no, why just, you know, do you really think that, you know, as Africans, we're still not accepting, even though we are there, you know, we still like, no, we're just too small.
You know, it's interesting you say that because Felicia said the same thing. She was like, you know, Taki, I don't ever think that was the plan for us. The plan for us was much bigger, you know, and it almost reminds me of Happy. It was interesting because I called the conference Happy Part 2 or Happy 2.0 in terms of the film. So when I first started thinking about this film, it was about back in 2011, and I went to Egypt. And it was on the hills, actually, excuse me. It was on the hills of these first two films. Nubia, we did this from our travels in the Sudan back in 2006 with Dr. J and I. Then we followed Nubia up with the Tekken, and maybe 2009, uncovering the influence of ancient Egypt. Then came Happy about 2 years later, the original blueprint for it. But the original plan of Happy really centered more about relationships. And I called it Happy because I wanted to really kind of unravel the myths and the lies around the relationship between the kingdoms of the Nile. You used the term umbilical cord a minute ago, and the way we see Kemet and Kush being connected is through that umbilical cord, right? And the way they've taken Kemet out of Africa and placed Egypt in the Middle East is by cutting the umbilical cord between Kemet and Kush, right? The notion around, the historical notion around these two countries are that they were always at odds with one another, fighting each other, and they hated each other, which couldn't be further from the truth. But this is the narrative that's perpetuated. And if you accept this narrative, you will accept the narrative of Egypt being in the Middle East versus Kemet being in Africa, right? So the film originally started with that foundation. And I went to Egypt back in maybe 2012 or so when I was trying to film it. It wasn't coming together. It just wasn't working. And I was like, I don't usually have those type of issues there, but it was like, damn, why isn't this working the way it's supposed to work? Why isn't this coming together the way it should? So I shelved it because I just feel it just wasn't time. You know, it wasn't time for it. And it wasn't until 3 years later, where a friend of mine who just recently made his transition, he started to speak to me about doing a film about economics. And I already had Happy in my mind. And I was like, I don't really know much about economics. But I was like, you know, as I started to think about it more and more, the light bulb went off. And I said, you know, their relationship between those two kingdoms, by and large, was an economic relationship because they relied heavily on trade, right? Everything surrounding it now, even the word Happy itself revolves around economics because it deals with the ecology of the nation, what they were able to take out of the agrarian society. Then they were able to have surpluses to trade with other nations. This surplus allowed them to build the pyramids and so forth and so on. So this great economy that they have from the Happy allowed for Kemet to be the world's first great mega economy. You know what I mean? So it all started to make sense. It started to come together. What we were planning, what I was planning to do originally was on this level, but what the ancestors wanted was on a bigger level.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's almost the same sense of what happened with the conference. What we were planning to do initially was here, but then it grew to here. So you also spoke about the signs. So I pay attention to a lot of them now because you have to, because the signs are there in terms of what they want you to do. And to start reading the languages, knowing the language of spirit helps me kind of identify certain key things of where we should go or what we should do.
Ooh, economics. That's also one myth that we always think, or it's already been implanted into us as if no, it always has to just be something that has to be for free. It always has to be something like everything that we're doing, even if in our engagement and our social work, people love it when you say, no, I'm doing it for a not for profit. It's like the stigma of a non for profit, or you're saying like, if I say it's business, in terms of economics, in terms of trade, in terms of whatever. I mean, that word alone becomes now like, yeah, it's like a personal interest, and which then becomes like, oh, he's just making his money. Now, I want to boil down to the part to like, if I look at their budget, I mean, you had to pay tickets for us, lodges, hotels, everything. Even with last minute cancellation, you had to redo everything. And I look at the whole economics around it. And the simple question, even you just streaming this conference live is hundreds of thousands of dollars, just putting it live. And then putting a ticket at $50. I don't know whether it's right for me to, did you actually make it in terms of economics?
So the streaming didn't cost that much. It wasn't hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it was more than I anticipated. It was a lot more than I anticipated. In fact, when we first were thinking about streaming it in Egypt, the prices I was hearing there, I was like, wow, that's a lot more than I anticipated. And I figured when we came to the States, it'd be a little bit cheaper, but it wasn't. It was almost twice what they quoted in Egypt. But it's worth it. It's worth it. And you have to see the bigger picture here when you do things like this. For that piece, we may have actually broke even, but on the long term, it'll be more beneficial. And it has to be everything we do, we have to think more in the long term. So I pulled this, when I got up a minute ago, I pulled this book off the shelf. This book right here is like, for me, which I call like my cross, was my turning point. And I read this back when I was about 14 years old, when I first started in my journey. So one of the things the great Dr. Chancellor Williams said in this book was that when Europeans plan, they do things generations in ahead.
Yes.
They're looking to do things 100, 200, 300 years down the road. We have to get back to that mindset. We used to do that. There was a time that we had foresight. When you think of, the ancient Happy Valley and the Nile and all those things, everything they did was foresight. When they built so that we would know. They left the memory there so that we could have a record of things that they did. So everything they did was foresight, And it's very important for us to take those models, those nuggets of not history, but lessons, and do the same thing. Let's build for eternity. And this legacy around this conference, everything that we're doing is building for eternity. So it's an investment. Everything we do surrounds or revolves around economics. There's nothing we do in this world that does not surround or involve economics. And economics is not just money. And this is something I use to explain this quite often. A lot of times in relationships fail because people feel like they're not getting the return on their investment that they should. Even a relationship between husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, two friends, those things either are successful or not based on people feeling that they get the exact equivalent or basically the exchange that they feel like they're putting in. So we got into everything's economics. Economics we have between ourselves and the divine is also an economic relationship.
Correct.
And when you think of in terms of what we, when you go to Kemet and you see the art on the wall, in most cases you see an offering, and you see that offering being reciprocated. We call that ma'at, we call that reciprocity, but it's built on economics.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing we do in this universe that doesn't have an economic model embedded
Mm-hmm.
in it. So that is the message of happy. That's one of them. That everything is economics. We need to understand what that looks like, and that help us understand the economics, or that help us understand the mundane economics better. Mundane economics meaning the day-to-day activities, the money, things like that. To understand economics and the long economic plan that we should have, then something like this for the conference, it made sense.
Thank you. Is it all about the conference? Is the conference ended? Like people still like, oh, most of the videos would have ended, and someone like, oh, it's so long. Because the combination was. But I don't know if we actually paid attention to the text, which you say, we have 3 days to watch these raw pieces, and then something would happen, and like people who are like, I want to have a piece. I want to get a documentary about this. I want to get. So, what is the way forward? What would happen after this?
See, and that's a part of the long-term plan as well. So it was 48 hours after the ending of day 2 that they would have to watch it. So I think it expired yesterday at like 7 p.m. We're going to reconstruct it, not much, but just adding some stuff and take out the breaks. And then we're going to reissue it. It'll be available to buy or to rent. People can rent it, watch it, they can buy it, stream it, download it, whatever they want to do, but it will be available at some point in the near future. Very near future. So we're working on that now. Just have to kind of like put it together.
Yeah, I mean, this is such when I read it after some time, like, how did he sit down? How did they sit down and just plan this whole thing? So no, actually, the universe must have been really busy shaping this whole thing. I mean, and then another another one thing that was amazing and so cute is like most of this big mega event, it takes just a small team. I saw you, I saw Felicia, I saw the technical coordinator. I think it was a piece of 4 people putting out such a worldwide thing. Am I wrong?
Yes, it was for them. Uh-huh. Yes, they did a marvelous job. I got to get the name of the company, but yes, they did a great job with that. And we I mentioned this before, but one of the things we got to give definitely a big shout out to people in the area, because they were the ones who really helped us formulate everything. And I got to say, Dr. Ken Harris, oh man, what a marvelous job he did. He did a fantastic job, and he wasn't a part of the original plan in terms of the host.
Mm-hmm.
But before I get into him, I could mention Mike McBruck, Multimedia, and they were the ones who kind of helped the technical piece and helped us stream it. But Dr. Ken Harris, this goes back to, if they just would have left it alone, it would have probably been obscure. So Dr. Ken Harris wasn't the original host even in Detroit. Once the person who decided he could no longer do it, that's when I went to Dr. Ken Harris and asked him if he'd be interested in being a part of it. And I have to say, that was just another out of many ancestral blessings.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dr. Ken Harris, one, he's a Detroit native, but he took it to a whole nother level. And he also added another dimension to the conference we wouldn't have had. And that was a big economic piece. Him being the president of the National Business League, which has been in existence for 100 years, founded by W.E.B. Du Bois, was such a huge honor to have him moderate the conference. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't want anything. He was just so honored to be a part of it, so honored to be there. It was such an amazing thing. And it was like so beautiful to have him be a part of it. But that's just another example how we're thinking here, but our ancestors took us here. So I'm just thankful.
I try to put myself in this because, like, when I do events like that, sometimes now the events go and I didn't even hear anything. I wasn't part of anything. I just saw things and see things. And later on, maybe a couple of weeks after, when I sit back, then I start like, what happened actually? Did you have that feeling like you were there, but you really was not there? Like, could you really
Yes,
mention some quotations and events that you saw, but were you
yes.
there?
So, oh man, I tell you, one of the words I used to describe the feeling I had when I first, after it was over, well, I was so overwhelmed, especially with the ending Dr. Leonard Jeffries gave to the conference. I
Yes.
was like, I couldn't even, I was a loss for words. I mean, I've been around Dr. J for about 20 years. I've seen Dr. J speak countless times. I've been in lectures with him, but it was something special there. And I think this, matter of fact, I don't think this conference invoked something in a lot of us.
Yes.
And one of the things that it evoked was the warrior spirit, because people, even if they don't know the full story of what happened, the history of this conference, people know bits and pieces of it. And I think that woke up something in a lot of people. And then this is something I'm happy this message is getting across, because this, for us and happy, when we're out here on these platforms, and as we're talking, we want people to understand what happened to us in Egypt did not happen to Happy exclusively, did not happen to Taki exclusively, did not happen to Felicia exclusively. It happened to all of us. Because if
Right.
they're trying to silence our voice, they're trying to silence your voice, right? Some people didn't understand that, but I think people are getting the message now. It wasn't about us. It was about, the Black voice. We
Mhm.
weren't saying anything exclusively of what we're doing. We were speaking up for directly, reclaiming our history and our story, right? We were saying things that we know to be true. We were going in the footsteps of our great ones that came behind us, and the message they left behind and the teachings they left behind about the confluence and connectivity of African cultures. That was the model, that was the thing. And that's what they tried to silence. So if they tried to silence me, they tried to silence you. And I think people started to catch on with that. I think people started to realize what was happening. Even if we didn't come out and tell them, I think people know that. And I think people really, really felt the importance of the power and unity. This is why I'm saying they'd have been better off just shutting up, leaving us alone, versus what they've done. So they've awakened something, and it's very important for us to foster that energy that we have, and it's beautiful. I know for me personally, and I mentioned this at the conference, it reminded me of something in myself where it attracted me as a child. These were things, images from reading, like this book. These are some of the warriors and stuff that
Mhm.
we had, the different battles in the past. And I remember as a child reading and feeling inspired by these captions of these great Africans that fought the fight for liberation. And I think that spirit that warrior spirit is still very alive and well in us. It may have been dormant for some time, but I think it was just woken up.
Most often we actually don't, like us to say, we're still in the trauma of disbelief, even though every sign is there. It's the same thing also. I never thought, I just was thinking, what can who do to who? Like, we're just doing our work. What can, but not just the disbelief of the attacks or the challenges. Remember, we're talking about economics, and somebody has been actually making chunks of of living on our history. Have been, I mean, the pieces that they broke is making people so wealthy, and their legacy goes on. And now we're stepping on that business to reclaim, like somebody borrowed and doesn't want to give back, not even borrowed, in this case stole, and you want to take it back. And so yes, we should be conscious of that fact. But what is so amazing about the One Africa conference is that spirituality. Like, every battle was like our ancestors were already, they saw it, and they fought it even before us, and we went. Could you remember any time in history or any moment that you had, probably because I wasn't there, or that, have you ever experienced any conference like this before?
No, no,
Thank
no, no. And I've listen, that's not to take away from the level of scholarship that was in the conferences. Um, I used to go to several. I used to be a part of a lot of the ASCAT conferences. I used to present at some of them, and I would, frequent. But there was something very special in the air. It was spiritually charged. And I gotta say, people, when you spoke, people were in the room in tears. I never seen that. I'm not saying that it's happened, but I haven't seen it. People were in the audience, they were crying like loudly. So I was like, whoa, what's going on? So it was something different. It was something different that that just it hit me in a different way. And what I said in closing is that it made me proud to be Black. Not like I wasn't already, but it gave me even more pride in who we are and what we're doing. Because I see that there's hope. Sometimes, especially here in the States, we see things go on like, oh my God, we in trouble. You look at some of these kids and like, we in trouble. That conference was really a shining light that there's still a lot of life, still a lot of fight left. And people are really ready to take that next step, and let's mobilize and let's build, let's do some things cooperatively. So that was my greatest takeaway from it, and I know we were honored to be there and honored to be a part of it. And going into it, all the signs were clear that it was going to be very beautiful. Especially as we got closer, it was like, yeah, this is going to be nice. Everything started coming together. Any little hiccups we had, we were able to kind of just circumvent them, put it together. Even down to the conference books. We were up to the day before the conference, and we're still making edits. I was going to print them in New York and bring them with me, but I had to actually print them in Detroit. So I had to send them the file. And when I finally got there that Friday morning, he was like, okay, I'll stay open late for you, 3:00 in the morning. I picked the books up 3:00 in the morning, Saturday morning. And it just all worked out. When I started to see things like that, here goes that message again, those signs, in terms of like speaking to you, that I knew it was nothing to worry about at that point. Don't even worry. You're good. You're in good hands. We're here with you. You're in good hands. You guys in good hands. Everything's going to be well. We got you guys. Let's go. So, and it was little things like that. Kind of was like, you know what? We're fine. And that's when we talk about reading the language of spirit. When it starts to speak, you know that you know what you got to pay attention to.
I also had a lot of feedback and a lot of very, very, great. All of us are great, but the greatness in this conference was just something else. The peace in that conference, and even after, is still hovering, upon all of us. I don't even know how it's gonna leave us, because I really actually want to give a shout out to Detroit. There's a spirit in that place. To be honest with you, there is a spirit in that place, because as we're talking about all these things, we also talked about the locations and stuff like that. Locations also is it's actually like, no, don't go to Babylon, come out of that place. So all our ancestors, our spirits that are gathered in that place, and I'm thanking the people of Detroit, the surroundings, and that made it. I'm not talking only about the physical people that were there, but every blessings. You could feel the peace in that conference. I've never felt like this. Just like you said, people were crying. I also was crying. I didn't even know that I was until after. Then I just asked myself, but what happened? What just happened in this space? And I've never had that kind of connection, that kind of bond, that kind of peace, that kind of healing. And I don't think we have any battle, to be honest. For me, after the One Africa conference, I just see us thriving in another dimension. We would not maybe have to hustle. Do you think so?
Yes, absolutely. And I want to go with the first part about the Detroit thing. I don't want to. I'm a I'm a true blue. What they call true blue New Yorker. Born and raised in New York. Love New York. In my eyes, New York is the greatest city in the world. But there's something special about Detroit, and I recognized that some time ago. and to me, Detroit, it just made sense because there is something there. I can't really put my finger on it right now, but I was like, and I'll say this: the people, by and large, for me, makes Detroit a very special place, and I see a lot of great people in Detroit, a lot of very helpful people, and people they really want to be a part of something. And I was like, wow, this got to be the place because the people there are just so magnificent. Felicia, Ron, Brittany, people
Mm.
like that. Kevin, Ken, and Dennis, and eh, you know, living in New York, we could say, okay, we could have maybe done it in New York, but it was something really special there, and I was like, you know what, it got to go. This is where we're going to do it.
Oh my God. And when you look at Danny's boat ride, Danny's was like, all over the space. Danny's took that space. I mean, Big Brother and the champion, Ron Spears, everybody took his space. It's like everybody was defending the territory. Like, yeah, I'm home. It's me. It's my place. Nothing's gonna happen here without me, and nothing, after even without me. Until today, like the greatest things that ever happened to these brothers. Till today, you go to social media, you get I was just asking, did Brother Taki know that there's a production already going out, about the One African Conference? you know, it's so awesome and so wonderful. Now, you would want to do this again, isn't it?
It seems like we may have to. We may have to. And the next time, you know, I got some ideas in my head, started floating around, and I'm looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it. And Detroit's beautiful, but what for me was even a more beautiful, shining example of Black excellence was people came in from all over the world to be there.
Yes.
This one young lady, she took 3 trains and a bus. She lives in California. It took 3 trains to get there. That's amazing. It's like that was like wow. That was a moment that you know had me really rethinking our roles and our place in this world. Because I'm like, if you're having that type of impact, you really have to now really start to think about what we're doing. And people came from all over. People watched from all over, and it was just a beautiful experience. Not only the experience inside the conference room, but the environment created with the marketplace. You had Black people buying and trading with one another, and that was a different experience. You had Dr. Georgina Falou, who was I guess you say, how we say, last minute scratching, but she came and Dr. Jeffries asked, for us, he was like, you listen to your elders. Said, Taki, we got to make sure we get your Dr. Falou there. So, hey, Doc, let's get it there. We made it last minute, put it together. We got it there to be a part of it. And it was like last minute, all right, we're going to put her on the stage and let her speak. We already had her in she was already slotted for the panel discussion, the Power and Unity panel discussion. But then on Sunday, we also said, you know what, let's put her in a part of the lineup and have her speak. And what's so significant about that, Dr. Falou delivered a message that no one else could deliver. Only she can give that. And that's what made it special. Even when we go back to what we were saying earlier about Happy, because she's in the film, she's one of the Happy cast members. But Happy people in the film have very unique areas of information that they're specialized in. And that's what brought this film and the project together. This conference is very synonymous to that because the people that presented have very unique, stylized fields of information that they delivered. So people got messages from all throughout African thought. So with Dr. Falou, she has this foundation that helps people write grants, form corporations, non-for-profits and for-profit corporations. And she was there, and she had a whole group of people, and they were signing up, and she was giving a workshop, and it wasn't a part of the plan, but it just worked out that way. And I was like, wow, this is beautiful because this is what it's about. And it was really, really, really a special thing. And yeah, she's from the diaspora. You know, she's from Central America. She's from Puerto Rico. But
Mhm.
it was just so beautiful to have all these African minds together in one
Mm.
space, doing something very positive. And yes, it was very peaceful.
The happy movement is now the movement, right? And we've been just doing things in broken pieces and stuff, and it has been said of so many times, like, everyone's just doing his thing. We're not organized. We don't have an umbrella. Anyone's just like in the house doing his own thing. But now, when I look at the happy movement, tell us a little bit now. How do you? It's a movement. It's in itself, and it just came naturally. Um, what is it? If I say, okay, this is the happy movement, what is it that you want people to know as a movement? Because we're beginning to see now, if we were crying so much and yearning for an umbrella, if we were saying, okay, we need a structure, an institution that could bring us together. If we were saying, if we have now something that we can say, from here, that's the media, from here, that's the conference, the event, from here, there are the scholars, from here, that's the school, from here, that's the, how would you, or how do you envisage happy movement?
Wow, there's so many aspects to it. We have this meme created, and speaks to the Black people become more financially literate or more financially astute, right?
Mm.
Black people loving and caring for one another, and teaching the youth the truth, and helping that next generation forward, pushing them forward so that they can be great. We want our youth to be better than us. I think a lot of times we get in the we challenge, the current or the old generation. We need to find more better ways to work together. I think that's one of the reasons why ancient Kemet strive for 3,000 years, because you saw such a representation of all different aspects of life, whether it be the young, the old, the man, woman, like all that was represented there. It was all identified, and it was all fostered and nurtured in such a way that everyone thrived. We need to get back to that. It's one of those messages again. So for me in particular, when I look at happy, and this didn't come to later on, because we had our ideas of what we were pushing the movement forward.
Mm-hmm.
The happy symbol itself, again, it doesn't really, the one I have on here in the shirt only has a single happy. But when you look
Mm-hmm.
at the double happy is actually tying together the papyrus and lotus plants, which
Mm-hmm.
symbolizes Upper Egypt and the lotus, and Lower Egypt with the papyrus, and tying it together as TAAGIY, or unity. you
Mm-hmm.
know so when we think of happy, we think of unity. We
Mm-hmm.
think of and all the things Felicia's putting up now, we think of the unity, and those are those steps. We
Mm-hmm.
think of the unity of Black people. We think of the unification. And when you go to Kemet, you see a lot of times the pharaoh or the Nasut Biti are sitting on the foundation of happy. As they sit on the foundation of happy, that foundation represents what it takes for them to be successful. They cannot rule if there is no unity. The whole
Mm-hmm.
purpose of their leadership is that they can keep the country unified.
Mm-hmm.
They can keep people unified. And when you think of the notion of ancient Kemet, one thing you must understand is that it wasn't two countries, or two parts, but more so a collection of various different tribes of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the part history doesn't want to tell you, that these various different African tribes converged into the Nile Valley once the Sahara Desert came. Once the Sahara began to converge, people began to migrate towards that great river valley. And our migration towards the great river valley needed something that was a gluing symbol. And they needed one ruler, somebody that can keep them all together. And that's what made it was a challenge for them. And they understood that challenge. That's why the happy, or the theme of the happy unification, was constantly being perpetuated. And for
Mm-hmm.
us being here in this time, we understand that that is the core of who we are and what we do, is to keep this unification piece going. So Felicia and I made it a very, very poignant point of going out and figuring out ways to work with other people, you know, in a very holistic way, dealing in the principles of art and reciprocity. We have to work with other Black organizations, other Black people, come together collectively under that umbrella again, and let's deal with the true purpose and meaning of happy, which is unity. So that's what
Happy.
really, I'm sorry, and that's what really, if you think about it, was the driving force within the conference, was what has been built throughout the years we've really been starting the happy movement. Like I say, back in really 2020, when we really unveiled it with the release of the film. In fact, before even we made the film, it was important for me to make a film that can go beyond the theaters, because we did Nubian and Tekken years prior, and I was like, if I'm going to do a film, it has to be something that's sustainable beyond people just being entertained for a short period of time. So the
Correct.
happy movement was actually born, or the idea of it actually came out before the film was released. And we just sustained this throughout the process. Right now, sometimes the film really, in the reality is, it gets lost sometimes in the conversation because we talk about so many other things. And the movement itself is really taking shape and taking form. And the film is sometimes the afterthought. Oh yeah, there is a film. Sometimes I got to think about that too. So it's something that we really need to, we understand that the true purpose about it around this was always the movement.
Um, Happy film. So now we have the film, and then we have the movement. Now, when people hear, or for me, I begin to like, okay, so in just a very near time, maybe we're not going to be talking about Hollywood movies, and it's just going to be happy films, and I love it. They're happy. I don't know whether it's just the happiness, but it's everything in it. The happy, and then the film, and it's so short to pronounce. I mean, if you're just joining this conversation, we're talking to our brother Taki Grant, the big king, the big king and the queen. The queen is always behind, and who put this voices, this One Africa Power and Unity conference in Michigan, Detroit last weekend, and you know if you didn't know about it, please, you just have to go to happyfilm.com, or or you reach out to Pan African Daily. We're going to be sharing these stories this week, because tomorrow we have our brother Yabari Ozaze, who is coming up also on this incredible story. I mean, what should we be talking about even this time? Shouldn't we just be talking only about this happy things? Like, no way we're gonna sit here and talk about anything that makes us just like wow, or just sit down and like be sad. Now Happy has brought that into a palm. So if you're just joining, that's the conversation. That's what we're going to be doing in this beautiful May. Beautiful May is a time that is bringing us the spirit of the unity of our forefathers. The founders of the Organization of African Unity was founded in this month, and 23rd, we're going to be 23rd to 25th, we're going to be setting our 12 alarms for those that were not there, that have not set it, and we're going to be drumming and dancing to happy. The happy movement is born, for the new generation and the old generation. Now we could see them handing over. So thank you once more for joining us, and we're talking to brother Taki. We're just going to continue the conversation now to another next level. Now, like I asked before, after this, now you're going to leave this show and you go home. What is it that you're actually going to do now when you go back?
Well, some of it we can't reveal right now. There are phases of our plan for the next step. Yes, and we have next steps that we are in the process of putting together. And I just want to say this. This process also made me really look deeper into the spirit of happy itself. There's a
Yes.
reason why our ancestors saw happy as a nature, and there's an energy surrounding happy,
Mm.
and that is something that needs to be studied. Even before this process began, I didn't know that we were actually entering the age of a happy or Aquarius. I didn't know that. When I call this happy, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it was strictly because I was dealing with the river and the relationship between the kingdoms of the Nile, which we stated earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But now looking to where we are now, going from the age of Pisces or Aquarius to the age of Happy, makes me realize this happy energy. It's a lot more there than meets the eye, and it's something that the ancients were left behind, lessons in happy that needs to be studied. So when we, and actually I'll share this also, when the situation happened in Egypt, one of the things I realized is we need to get back under the umbrella of happy. Happy
Mm-hmm.
has a protective umbrella, and it was very important for just what it provides. And when you see happy, and actually you can kind of see it here somewhat, you can see all of the different
Mm-hmm.
items.
Mm-hmm.
The It was because the breast represents the nurturing and the abundance of things that it gives. So happy gives those things. Happy provides sustenance. It nurtures you, and that's one of the things that we need to get back to, understanding that principle. And like all the other nature, all the other deities, we call them principles or natures. They have specific roles and energies that they provide, and happy provides that type of energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was very visible, and I think whether we agree or not, it also has to do with the spirit of the organizers, the minds that are sitting on it, the team. Like we say, when you see harmony, you feel harmony. When there's a lot of chaos, you also witness that chaos, and every dynamic that goes in it. What I saw, I mean, in a kind of a dimension, and that's why I keep asking, would you do it again? Would you move it to that level where you call, because like sometimes the fear of even we want to do big, and when it's getting big, then we are caught up in that fear again, like, wow, it's too big now. Like, um we in that, yes, in that transition to take over, and most of the time we're afraid of the transition. It's like you're talking about economics. Most of the time we're afraid to be rich. For instance, we're really scared of riches. We've been in the comfortable state of mental poverty, that we've embraced it, we've loved it, we jealously even holding to it, even when everything is happening. So I can also imagine that we've been in a state where we think happiness is not possible. Happiness cannot come to me. I don't deserve it, even like we even like, no, it's just my thing. Yes, I agree, it's the way it is. And then, yes, and I just, so we've been groomed, to believe and to soak in that happiness, and we enjoy it unconsciously. We enjoy it. But this spirit that you are bringing, and that's why I'm saying, don't be afraid to take it to the above, because I think that's the healing that we all had been looking for. So don't be afraid to give more. You're giving, and you're like, okay, can I just give everything? That's the spirit I got back from the happy. When I retrieved, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm planning an event where all of us have to meet in Germany, and I was putting some small things. No, after the happy One Africa conference, come and see vision here. See?
So no, it's I say that some of my greatest heroes, um, were fighters. So I'm the fear. I'm not saying I don't have doubts and I don't these things don't happen, but whatever we're gonna do, it'll come, and I'll let it come. Those things come, the messages come, and when they do, it'll be time. But absolutely, I think we have to follow up on it. We will follow up on it, and you know, I'm just happy to know that happy. I'm happy to know that we're not alone, and the people who've been dormant for some time, or the spirits that have been just there waiting to fight, they're here and they're fighting with us. And
I share.
yeah, Shay, and they're definitely. I see them, I feel them, and I know what the call and what the mission is, and nah, definitely When they tell you to do something, you can't be afraid.
You
You know,
can't
like
be.
you go, you do this. I remember it was times when everything for me is always a first moment. You know, for me, this was like really. I've had like summits before. This is the first conference, the first film, the first trip. You know, I took people to Egypt. You know, there was always a first, and I remember those moments feeling afraid, feeling scared. Because I got the message to do it, but then you start to have the self doubt. Should I? What do I think I'm doing? Am I doing the right thing? And all these different notions start to go in your head. And I'll share this. I don't share it with people publicly, but the first time I went to Egypt with a group was 2001, and I was really nervous about it because I only been there one time before, 2 years prior, and I was like, am I doing the right thing? I got people. I'm responsible. Really don't know that much, but how can I just was really scared. I was scared, and when I started to introduce people, some people already knew each other. I didn't know that they lived on the other side of the planet, but it was just like, wow, when I introduced them and they actually grew up together when as kids, this calmness came over my spirit, and I was like, okay, this is the sign for you not to worry. Just don't worry about it. We got you, and we'll just keep moving forward. And this has been the story throughout this process. When these jobs and when these tasks come, when I'm like, Taki, do this, do that, generally I get something that'll remind me, like, you know what, don't worry about it. Just keep moving forward, everything will be fine. And I
Mhm.
stay calm. And I also, for me, I try to make sure everybody around me is calm. And I'm like, you know what, whatever it is, we're gonna work it out. Let's not worry about it. Let's not have that anxiety, because that anxiety fuels confusion and chaos and things like that. Knows that's the energy we want to keep out. So I'm very
Mhm.
deliberate about that. I'm very deliberate about staying calm, because I know how important that is to the people around me. And I'm like, we're gonna stay calm. Whatever happens, we're gonna fix it in stride. We'll fix it in stride, and we'll move on. And there's always hiccups. Things happen. We had things in this past weekend. Um, we had to, it's on the fly, find a new plan. People, couldn't make it and things like that, and technical difficulties, things like that. Yes, yes, Ernest Parker, steady the course. Yes, that's the important thing, steady the course. And that's kind of what it is. And this is spiritual warfare. And we
Mhm.
have war with the minds and hearts of our people. And when you're in this war, you have to understand that's one of the most important things. Like Ernest said, steady the course. You got to
Mhm.
steady the course, calm people, keep the ranks. You can't have division. You got to keep everything solid. And
Mhm.
you want to make sure that the ranks are tight. Everything we need to do just to kind of be successful.
One last thing that we want to share with you tonight. You can just give us a little bit of what the audience would want to know about Yabari Ozaze. What do you think that he's going to come here and share with us tomorrow? And then on Friday we're going to have Ron Spears, big brother, champion, village boy like myself, and we were already, even during the conference, we were chatting and like, what are we going to do with this? And so we would be poetry. We will be bringing our poetry and bringing our comedy and bringing our village styles, really in the feeling of the One Africa conference, that it was so unique. But one thing that before you go to tell us about Brother Yabari, the other thing, the other aspect was the melange, what the French would speak, the mixture. You could see babies, you could see elders, you could see youth, you could see women, you could see I mean, this mixture is what just drove me to fire, because that's the village. That's the village girl. Conferences like this, from what we know, been educated, no, we look for babysitters so that there should be no noise, so that we should just pay attention. We start grooming that kind of. But this One Africa conference was a family. I don't know, did
Yes.
you plan it like that? Because even in the conference, even the babies were listening. I didn't hear any, like, someone had to go out with a kid and something. I was like, what is happening here? What is just happening? What is going on? Do we see? Do we see? Do we feel? Do we see the angels from all young, small? Because all of them are all spirits, and it's with their diapers and just wagging, but enjoying the spirit of the one African, the happy movement. It was just happiness and harmony and peace and everything that I don't know. What should I take? What should I leave?
So
I don't want to
you
cry
are
again. I don't want to cry again.
you are spot on. And before we say, I just want to give a big shout out to Ron Spears for helping us um, secure the venue for the Happy Gala, which is a beautiful experience. And God, that was just something. Again, just a sign. We had a full lecture tour as almost as if we were in ancient Kemet, because
Yes.
Infodici was there and Jabari Azaze, and they were giving a tour to people through the King Tut exhibit. It's like you can't literally can't pay for stuff like that. It was just so amazing that that was a part of the experience of this weekend, and it gets overlooked because everything else was so beautiful. We forget the gala and what happened there that evening. So it was a
Yes.
full lesson on it was, and it was just unscripted, and that just was just there. And I came kind of late, but when I got there, they were in this full tour mode. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So, family and representation of all different aspects of society. That is one of the messages our ancient ancestors of the Happy Valley left for us. And we spoke about this earlier, just in regards to having all aspects of society represented. We all have to be there. We all have to have a voice. We all have to be empowered. I think a
Hmm.
lot of times we fail today as Africans because we don't have everyone empowered. Ancient
Yes.
Kemet thrived because everyone was empowered. The young, the old, the men, the women. There was
Mm,
empowerment from all aspects of society. No one
mm,
was silenced. No one was ostracized. The young didn't
mm,
feel like they were being challenged by the elders. The elders didn't feel like they're being challenged by the young. The women didn't feel like
mm.
they're being challenged by the men, and vice versa. Everyone had a very special place. That is the happy movement. So, family, everything we've done, okay, happy was built on family. Happy was
Yes.
also built on, I told Felicia that happy was built on heart. When I think about the foundation of it, it kind of started with the relationship with Dr. Jeffries and I.
Mm,
And as I met Dr. Jeffries, who was someone who was a hero of mine, and I remember being a kid, and I was maybe 16 years old. He was going through the whole, he was going through his war with the speeches he made and the whole court battles. I remember my family, everyone was like, he was on the news every day and the front page of the newspapers. And my father was like, hey, that Dr. Jeffries, he was, really loved him. I met him many years later, but when I met him, I already was like really, really, I was already in awe of him. So Dr. J, being who he is now, called Dr. J, he's one of the greatest Africans I know personally. This man will give you a shirt off his back. He and I immediately formulated this special bond, you know, and from him, he introduced me to a whole nother world of people. And one of my first questions to him was, I said, I want to start studying the language. Who do you know that's teaching Metonetsia? At the
mm,
time, he said, I don't know. But he took my number down. And 6 months later, I get a call from a strange number at home on the answering machine, how long ago it was. And it was from his wife, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries. And they started holding classes in their house. And that's where I met Infodici. And this is 20 years ago. But all these people now we became family. And
mhm,
it's this close knit community were the building pieces for what you saw at the conference. Then
mm,
Professor Smalls, who he's like, hey, Dr. J called me. He said, Dr. Jeffrey's been talking about you. I want to meet you because I want to make sure you okay. So he told me he'd come to his house, and I came to his house, and he wanted to meet me. He wanted to feel my spirit. He wanted to make sure I was okay. That became a part of, the family, and that's like my uncle. And so all these different people are there's a family, yes, it's family, and that was the foundation for the conference. Those 4 or 5 people, and then you add Felicia in the mix and everyone else. So now this found that, yes, you were spot on. There was a family. It was a family reunion in a sense
yes.
also, and
Mm,
but it started with that core group, and it started expanding. And Jabari, Azaze, and I, we've been close colleagues for a long time. Um, now we have this extended happy family, the people we've met, and relationships that have been fostered and nurtured throughout the process, like with people like Dr. Shahrazad Ali and Riza Islam, people like that. We've met throughout the process of Happy, and they've just been a part of it. So, and people in the room, especially those people in the room, also, and so you have the core people, then you have the people that was in attendance, people that just been with us for so many years, following us on the thing. People been talking to on the phones, and people coming with us to Kemet and things like that. So yes, it was definitely a family vibe, 100% a family vibe, 100%. And that's what made it beautiful. That's what make you realize, like, hey, we're on the right track. You know,
Yes.
we're on the right track because you were spot on with that, 100%.
Woo!
And I see in the comments a lot, Taika Isaacs. She's one of those
Yes.
special warrior spirits, queen, and she's been rolling and with us and everything, and she's definitely family, and that's what it's been about, family.
It is, and it's going to continue. I mean, I can just imagine. Look at the way we vibing here, and that's the spirit. That's the one Africa. That's the happy movement. That's the Africa. Like we said, this is Africa. This is it. This is it. We don't need to look far. We don't need to even think any further. That spirit when you are at home, when you're in your family, nobody is strange. Nobody is. Who is she? Who is he? And whose daughter? It's just there. It's just there. And like I really encourage all of us to keep the spirit, to keep the happy movement, to be in contact. When we're talking about COVID, this is the COVID. This is what we want to contaminate us. Yes, let's contaminate everyone. This is our own. This should be our COVID, right? And this positive vibe and setting on our 12:12 alarm when it rings, it reminds us the one Africa. And I heard Mama Bello like, oh, and after a couple of times, it was 12:12 and the phones were ringing. So, like, yes, that's like yes, this is just it. I want to thank you. I don't know how to continue to say this, but like I said, those that are joining us, and I see more people joining, coming on board, like yes, this is what we have to do. This is the time that we have to do it right now. And happy yes, 5:23 exactly. um we have to keep this is what I say. There's no business that we have. Again, brother Taki, correct me. Our business is just unity. Our only business of the African on earth now is unity. Unity. We have no business with people again minding other people's business. We're just minding our unity business, loving each other, supporting each other, teaching each other, accommodating each other, forgiving each other, making love to each other in every format. We just gonna be there. Tell me, am
Yeah,
I crazy now?
no, and that's the spirit of Happy is very live. It's alive. It's with us, and I'm seeing it. I'm getting it clear now. You know, it's here. The age of Happy is real, and we're going to live in this age of Happy for the next 2,000 years. It'll be far beyond our lifetimes, but as opening the way of Happy, yes, we you're right on, and the foundational, um, drink your water, mind your African business. The
Yes,
foundation of the
that's awesome.
society, the foundation of our success is built on unity. We must remember that model. The foundation of who we are, our greatness, um, as a people, Nile Valley civilization, ancient Kemet, Kush, all these great civilizations and kingdoms that we had were all built around unity. And if we can understand that principle, we'll be successful. And any time that we failed, or we call intermediate periods or periods of failure and upheaval, were periods where there was disunity. So as long as we stay together, stand together, there's real power in it. Thus, we have power in unity.
Another one thing, things keep coming up, coming up, coming up. I don't even know. I don't know. And for you, we're gonna have Queen Felicia Harden on a special Felicia show on Friday, next Friday, not this Friday. This Friday, Brother Ron Spear is coming up. Saturday, we definitely would have Queen Mama Bello, and Sunday, another queen is going. We'll be confirming them as they come in this, because, like I said, we have to keep flaming. We have to keep flaming this love. Never are we going to quench it again. It doesn't matter how we are. We have to gather here every evening and just share. The happy movement is here. That this is the Africa that we all dream of. And in case anything might just for whatever reason bother you, just drink water and mind your African business. Okay. And in that space, everything will just be fine with us. So we're gonna have Queen Felicia on a special Felicia show on Friday next week, and it's gonna be about everything. I mean, this vibe is coming from another planet. And so, but brother Taki, this aspect is something that people disregard among us, or it's an essence that people don't even know. At each stage, people rose up, they ushered in at each stage. I mean, I cannot imagine how many times for 2 days we keep standing and clapping, and I was like, oh my God, look at Mama Roslyn, look at Baba Jeffries, look at all our elders that are there. But it was as if it was a win. When
Right.
everybody just stands up and we're clapping, like we all just moving into the kingdoms and queendoms of great Africa and just ushering ourselves in. Now, tell me more about this essence of respect, of humility. Not young, not big, not rich, not small. Everything was just like melting. The harmony, you can see, oh, this is a great professor. Okay, this one is everybody just knew what they had to do. I mean, for the first time, I could stand it when I appeared and people was rising. I was like, what is going on here?
You know, Dr. Tata, we opened, we did the opening of the way properly. We had our drums, we had the libation,
Oh,
we invoked the spirit of the ancestors. They were with us throughout that process. They were there from the beginning. Then when we did that part, we brought in more, and the room was so infused with ancestral power. and
yes.
and this is why it was so emotional for people, because you could feel the spirit there. The spirit was so strong in the room. Even there were times where things happened that shouldn't have happened, and you could see that maybe people might have been messing around with things. Immediately, those things were fixed immediately. You know what I mean? So we knew that on the other side there were people fighting for it, pushing it
Mhm.
forward, and it didn't allow whatever tried to impede on the conference to get in the way.
Yes.
And that the spirit was strong, and it was there, and it was fighting the fight alongside us. You know, and when you think of again the lesson of Happy from the perspective of the river, out of that out of death and destruction comes new life, and this new
Mm.
life emerged, and it emerged even stronger than when the Happy River inundates the plains of the land, and it just floods and destroys everything that's around it. But once the floodwaters recede, new life
Mm.
was brought forward, and that's what this has been about. Even when the situation happened in Egypt, we understood that we would follow the message of Happy, and out of that destruction, we would rebuild again. You know, we would rebuild, and we would rebuild even better than we did before. And that is the message of Happy. And there's a video we have, and I've heard him say it a million times, Dr. Jeffries. It was the original it was our original ending to the film, but I replaced it. I took it out and I put another ending in the film, and but we use it as a trailer piece. And every time
Mhm.
I listen to it, it even almost makes me emotional because it's so powerful. And he's just
Mm.
speaking so humbly in his Dr. Jeffries tone. He's just talking, but it's not him, and I'm listening to it and I'm like, wow. So I kept playing that, and I was playing that for the people. When the situation in February occurred, I kept listening to that over and over and over again, and I knew what we must do. Out of that destruction, out of that death will come new life, and we will do what our ancestors have always done. We will build for eternity. You know what I mean? So there's a message in Happy, and we have to again go back to the spirit of Happy and what the spirit of Happy is, and understand the message and the lesson there, and what we used when we were on the banks of the Nile to accomplish what we accomplished.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Bayete. I want to thank you. I want to thank all the spirits that are here. And I just want to remind you, I see people watching from the continent, from Sudan and everywhere, and like, wow, this was it. And whether you were there, and I said it before we even went into this venture, whether you were there or not, we had commanded all of you to be with us in spirit, and we felt it. And I just want to believe, for whatever reason, that you're going to have that peace and that unity wherever you're watching us, wherever you're sitting. If you really just believe in this happy movement, if you believe in our unity, if you believe that at one time, yes, there's an end to our sufferings, to everything. It's not just anticipating. It's not just looking at the skies and thinking that somebody. It is already here. I felt it. Everybody felt it. All those who were online, there was just some mystic, like Prophet Bob Marley said, there was some mystic surrounding in the air, and it was so powerful. And we spread it to everyone. The love. So I don't want to think that each and every one of us cannot feel this peace. Whatever even moments that you still think, okay, I'm still facing my challenges. Yes, these are just the remnant of what is passing through. The wind has already carried everything away with it. And I can say it, and I am so convinced that we are there already. We are. We just need to enjoy it, believe it, embrace it, continue to water it, flame it with every passion in you. Any negative vibe that comes around you, yes, it is meant to be, but that's not your business. That's not my business. I don't have any business to do with you. My business is, I'm connected to my brothers and sisters, my brethren, my elders, my roots, and everything, and that's fine with me. My business is, you are fine, I am fine. Okay, so there is nothing that we shouldn't be doing now. It's all over. Happy is here. The rivers of Nile has washed everything. And I keep saying it, please. Don't even dream it again. Even when you're still thinking that, oh, I'm carrying it, it's just for a while. This is Africa. This is the moment. This is the spirit. This is what we pour and have been waiting 400 years and above. This is it. This is just it. You better believe it. I want to thank our brother so much. I want to thank the whole happy family, which all of us are. So know you are happy. Don't think happy is a movement that we would have to go and, okay, brother happy, maybe you start. I don't want to say we'll have to maybe register or pay something to become a member to sustain. But what I'm saying is, you are a happy. Just imagine, because I'm happy. Just imagine, you are a happy. And it has to be so contagious, and it's so contaminating that we do nothing but just carry the ones that are still behind, pull everyone with us. Brother, am I just not making some sense here?
You're making absolutely perfect sense. Yes, yes, and just like you did in the conference, so beautiful, and your words are so on point, and it's such a beautiful experience. And as long as we know we have work to do as a people, and we're willing to work together, and we're willing to love one another, and make it a point to speak to strange Black people, make it a point to hold doors to people, Black people,
Yes.
make it a point to pick up things, people drop something, make it
Oh,
a
yeah.
point just to reach out and learn how to love each other. And that
Mm.
could be, to men, to women, and in the African way, and just do these things. And once we do those small things like that, those small things lead to bigger things.
Mm,
And you know, a lot of you said this earlier, a lot of the happy movement, it's indicative of the personalities of the people that it's in there, right? And you
mm,
have to speak to, Sister Felicia. She's very outgoing. She has a very lovely heart, lovely spirit, and people are drawn to her, because of who she is as a person.
mm,
You know what I mean? So that really is a core, or at the core of what it is that we do, and we're not doing anything but more so being ourselves. Everything that we are, we're ourselves. We're working people like everyone else. We do what we do out of love. I go to work every day. She goes to work every day. We do this because we truly, truly love our people. You know what I mean? So, and that's the important thing. And we can do this with a free mind. We don't have to worry about, I mean, the finance piece is there sometimes, but we don't really worry about that too much. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, well, we're trying to do this because we're trying to do this. That's not the story here. The story here is because we do it, you know, from 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 love. And I think that's Maya Chavez that actually came to the conference. Shout out to
yeah,
Maya, if that's who I think it is. And she was very brave for being in that space, and definitely want to give her a big shout out if that's who I think it is. Um, but just being good people, it's very important. Yes, sir. She says, she answered. So and that's what it is. And people like that humility. Marsha Lawrence, acceptance, belonging, home. Absolutely, those are all the things. Those are the principles, and those are real endearing human principles. And I think really that's what we kind of lose sight of sometimes, just being people, just being real people to each other. Everything, we don't see people as dollars, people as commodity, things like that. We see them as really engaging with folks. This past trip, when we had problems with, we had so many people, over 170, 80 people, and I engaged pretty much with each person individually. It was a
mhm,
lot, but I got a chance to feel their spirit and learn who they were.
mhm,
Now those relationships are formulated, and now they're nurtured and fostered to be something even special. People people want to talk to, they want to be a part of it. People surprised sometimes, and I'm gonna end on this. And this is something that we strive with in Happy. If people reach out to us, we respond. And
mhm,
people are shocked sometimes, so they get responses. They're not expecting to get responses. Sometimes they get quick responses in a second. They're like, oh, wow. And the first thing you hear is, I didn't expect to get such a rapid response. I didn't expect to even hear from somebody.
mhm.
9 times out of 10, we're giving our personal phone numbers to people saying, call me. Because if you have a problem, if you're not sure about something, we want to make sure we work it out, we work it through together.
Mm,
That's something that is a model for us, but it's a model because we give a damn. It's a model because we care about Black people.
mm.
It's not anything to do with business. It has to do more so with how we love our people.
Exactly. Absolute. Just talking about that, I really also want to thank those who bought tickets even at last minute. And then at some point in time, like you said, I really want to bring this attention that even a lot of people could not get tickets at last minute. They were being blocked, from accessing the ticket and even the line. I'm bringing this special message from our elder Marvin Gaye, who struggled and even had to write to me a couple of times. Elder Marvin Gaye is the founder of the $1 One Africa that we all know. Is so passionate about this and watch most of this. Was at one point disappointed. They keep rejecting him. I also had from our executive senior women that last minute who could not buy tickets, everything they sent, they were rejecting their cards. And so the challenge was there. You could see the fight. What am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say definitely we're going to still create a link of donations, because I see the engagement and what you did. And that was what I asked before, like with all this cost, how can we be a part? So not just being the fact that we bought tickets is enough, but also being the fact that we want to keep it alive. So I know the event, a link to purchase or to contribute is over yet, but Happy would have to, through the others that are coming, to provide a link where we will still go to support the production of this, because this is history. This is something that we should proud to nurture, to plant a seed on it. Yes, we do appreciate, and I really thank all of you that bought bought your ticket, even at last minute, when I saw the numbers, and I was like, yes, this is it. We are ready. This is Africa. This is Africa. So it is not over. The production is still going to go on, and so we still appreciate anyhow that you, if you can get your ticket and you still like, my money is still here. I mean, I take it like when I see Germans, they're not everything that is so bad in the system. There's just so many good things in it. A German, if he buys a ticket and go, and maybe the concert is canceled, or he went late, or he wants to get into a bus and there was no ticket on the bus. When he comes out at that stop, he's going to buy that ticket and tear it. So, what am I saying? Being a part or not being a part, our contributions are so necessary. And so, make it possible for us to still continue to support the Happy Movement, to produce, to produce and make these archives available for us, whether by download or by sharing, or like you say, always getting it, make it possible. Is that okay?
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you. Brother Taki, some people could just say, you know what, this is my thing now. And I don't want anybody to even be part of you understand what I'm saying? So at some point in time, we feel privileged and it just or honored just being a part of a legacy, putting a cornerstone and then watering it every time to grow. Not
Right.
just like, okay, I bought my ticket, so it's my right, and I was already there and everything. Like, no, we have to continue because we know the weeds, the crazy, serious, strong, jealous weeds are growing up and they could choke the seeds that we're planting. You know what I'm saying? So we have to continue to water them, and make sure that we're protecting the seeds to grow. So thank you so much, brother. What is it that you would like to end this conversation with us today while we're
I
waiting?
no, we're
Yaba.
gonna
Yabari is
we're
going to
gonna
tell us.
we're gonna say ownership, and we want
Yeah.
people to feel like it's their movement. Happy doesn't belong to Taki. It belongs to us. Doesn't belong to Felicia. It belongs to us. Take
Mm-hmm.
ownership of it. Feel like it's yours. And
Mm,
the message we have um, throughout the Happy movement is not only ownership of this, but ownership of our history, ownership of our legacy,
mm,
ownership of our homes, ownership of our communities, ownership of our land, ownership of our nation, ownership
mm,
of our currency. Everything that we are coming forth from this movement, by and large, deals with ownership. We have to
mm-hmm,
understand the principle of ownership and follow through in that model.
mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you so very much. Now we are seeing that we are so damn rich, and nobody is gonna say any stupid nonsense about us, the poor African people, the black people, particularly our giants, our gurus. I mean, we worship. I can say it. I don't even want to think about it. And on the continent, we worship our brothers in the diaspora, our queens. We look at your shiny bodies, the way you're so humble and so nice and so sweet and so cute. We love you so much. And I did say it. I don't know how I can say it again. And so all of us are so rich. Now we're gonna do a group economy. We're gonna build these galaxies of 12. We're gonna just thrive. And none of us is gonna stay hungry or beg or have to have a need, because we have many to share. So thank you so much, brother. I mean, it's a
Thank you.
wonderful. I don't know how we feel each time we want to depart. It's like it's like
Well, listen, we have to do this again soon. We have something happening in for the 4th of July weekend, and we'll talk offline about that. But we need to figure out this next step, and we have some things coming up in the next few months, and we'd love for you to be a part of it.
beautiful. Always, as you know, your village girl is here.
All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everyone for joining.
Yes,
All right.
thank
Take
you so
care.
much. Thank
All
you.
right. Peace.
Bye. Bye. So great people, good people, nice people, sweet African people. Thank you so very much. As you can see, it was pure. It was coming from that space that we all are. And there was no mixing, no twisting, nothing. Thank you, brother Leo Wright, for being here, and all of you that were a part. Now you see, yesterday I told you this is Africa. Did I exaggerate anything? Did I make it sound like, oh, Dr. Susan, you're always just like, did I? No, I did not. I just pour it out, and you now you're saying it. One message that I want to encourage you and leave you with this tonight is the idea of a messenger. I already spoke with my executive women this morning about it, and I really keep it short. All of us, I said yesterday, we have to recognize who our prophets are. So it doesn't matter how you want to call it, but know and recognize your prophets. You have to have that spirit to recognize them. They might look in shapes and faces and in different types of, looks, and then putting on this body, this borrowed flesh, and that you think you know them just from their physical appearance. But I think the the trick is know the message. The messenger is not important. The message is important. And from the message, you know who your prophets are. So I give an example. You have a postman that delivers your mails, and every time. Oh boy, thank you so much, Travelite. I also was in tears. Yes, you have a message. You have a post, a delivery service. So when you go down to get your letters, you don't want to care who brought it. You just pick your letters and you move home. So, and what is in that message? What is in your letter is very important. Now, do you really sit and start thinking, who brought it? I would have seen that person. So you see, the message is the core. Forget about the messenger, but the message. And that's what your prophets are all about. You hear me a couple of times, a lot of times, always saying, don't worry about the physical. Don't expect to see them come in the physical. Just enjoy the message. And you see, our ancestors begin to take this away because we've lived in the physical too long. We've lived in, I have to see you, embrace you, hug you, and this. And so most of us, we see, we meet, we connect, but we don't hear. We don't listen to one another. We don't hear. It's like I go down to take, and I see the person that brings my letters. And I see the person. So I miss the message that is in that letter. I don't know how to really coin it, but I know you understand what I mean. Our physical presence are very okay, but the message is the key for you to understand who your prophets are. And then you would understand all of us are prophets when we listen to the message, when we pay less of attention and focus on the messenger, but on the message. What is the message? The message today is this is Africa. Now, yes, who is the messenger? It is you. It is you that is creating that beautiful May is bringing this beautiful Africa. So don't worry too much about the messenger. Just worry about the message. And the message that we know today is love, is 1212, is Ubuntu. It is you, it is me. So imagine the message becomes really the key. Imagine the message of everything that we say becomes the key. So we are going to disease so much from the physical, which we're even going to leave anyway, and focus on the message. A lot of things on our continent, in our neighborhood, on our staff, we don't get it because we don't listen to the message. And this messages comes in every format, in signs, in just you paying attention and listening. You get it more than just seeing the physical. Now you see why they're focusing on us on the physical. Because once you put the physical, you miss the message. But the message is that's the spirit. And the physical is just the envelope or the person that brings it. So let us focus. Let's just focus on the message first. And I think most of us, most of the conferencees, most of even those that would have wanted to be there, whether you are connected or not connected, that were disconnected, most were thrown out of the show. Most of them, could not access again. But you know what? The message reached everyone. Most of you that did not actually even have the accessibility to get it, and remember what we said, the message is going to get to all of you. Now you see it, without even getting the speakers to tell us anything here, but the message is already here. Taki came as a messenger. Now we looked at him, handsome, nice, cute, sweet brother. But you look, the message is it. What he has dropped here, we never would see him, or I mean, like seeing us now, but the message is here. And that is what we gathered from the One Africa conference. Do not worry when the messenger doesn't appear. You should be thankful and be grateful when the message is there, because exactly that is the focus. Because most of us, when the messenger is there, we just we don't listen to the message anymore. We're so busy. Our eyes are so busy, and that we miss the message. And sometimes imagine when we stay in the blue room or in the black room and just listen to each other. And that's the inner spirit. That's the inner spirituality of what Mama Bello says, the knowledge of yourself. Refrain so much from always being in crowds. Also, just take a moment in you and just forget about yourself. Now you hear things that you never heard, and that's the message. So my key point this evening was just bringing back that spirit of I told you yesterday. This is Africa, and this is Africa is that message of love, of unity, of connecting, of supporting, of teaching, of learning. We don't grow old by learning. We learn every beautiful day. And so the message come home. And you see the messenger. Because our ancestors are transforming us. Do you think your ancestors were sending you on a journey to go and show people how beautiful you look like? And they'll be busy like, what the hell, any F for? What are you doing? Did you give the message? And so at some point, our intentions begin to betray us. I'm not saying I had an intention. I'm not saying you did. But I'm just saying at some points, our intentions betray us. And so they actually know why they put you and put some circumstances. We might turn it in like, there are enemies that were fighting against us or whatever, but they let them do it. They let them also do it because something was just not there that would take out the message. So the message is the key. The message is very important. The message is that unique, is the fruit. It's the fruit that we have to drink and stay strong and stay young and stay loving and patch out every other things that doesn't belong to us. So I want to thank you so very much. Tomorrow we're going to have our brother Osase Yabari. He was also such a diamond. A diamond, another pearl. And you would see, you would feel it, you would get it from his perspective. And like I said, actually what we're doing is deepening the fact. And so we keep the message alive, like watering it. It's not just like any other conference. It just came yesterday and we bought our ticket like a movie. And then we were in the movie and the movie is over and we're like, and we go. And so it was like entertainment. No, it is a seed that has been planted, and that we continue to water it, that we continue to nurture it, that we continue to feed it, that we continue to bless it, that we continue to love it jealously. So happy is here. Every other thing is here. All of us are here, and I want to thank you. And so let's tune in again yesterday and continue to water, like I said, enjoy these beautiful moments and just mind our African business and loving us. Now you see the lesser we're more focused on all the happenings and everything, the more healthy, the more strong, the more powerful, the more rich, the more abundance we have. Because this precious moment, unpayable. No amount of money can have paid us for these hours. So thank you so very much, my dear beloved, my people, my family, my lovers, my husbands, my wives, my queens, my daughters, my sons, my daughters in laws, and my sons in laws, and grandchildren, and great great grandchildren. Yes, of course. Did I forget? No, I can't forget. Thank you so much, Kwame. Thank you, Rogers, for saying 12 12. And we should keep reminding them. Yes, I said it yesterday, and I'm going to say it again today. Have you set up your alarm? Have you done it? You see, because that's the message, and the message needs an action. And I love everybody at the One Africa conference that just set their alarms. And every time it's ringing every day now. And you remember me, I remember you, because I belong to you and you belong to me. And so you see, even today, like mine rang when I was in the kitchen and making some fufu. Or you could see the way I was just jumping, even when it's ringing and I'm turning the fufu, and you're like, we are known, we are known. That is our code for unity in love. I said it. That's the code. The prophet gave us the code 12 12. Said it. It rings, you remember. Anytime you just hear it, just there's that feeling. It's just it there. That's what connects us symbolically and keeps reminding us. Are you forgotten? And when it's 12 12, my alarms ring. And I see even my friends, my family, everybody's like 12 12. I said 12 12, And yes, can you just imagine? It's gonna be ringing sometime in the next couple of months before even the 23rd. And then when we move to the next step, and the galaxies will just be forming themselves into 12 12, and we just be building and just be expanding. And believe me, it's not going to take us anytime soon. And you see the connectivities, and soon we start drumming. So 23rd, please make it. Now begin to train, because we're training. We're training now. When 23rd is going to break, make sure all of you are going to be sounding anything sounding anything around you. If you're driving in your car, you're pumping that loud. If you're if anything, just like and make sure the first thing, you're drinking your water, okay, minding your African business, you're smiling, you're well beautifully dressed. Even if you're going to work that day, you have to be in the okay, like this is it. So we're gonna keep that spirit connected, and each time mine rings, I think about all of us. I laugh, I smile, I drink, and I said, yes, minding my Africa business is what I'm here. It's my purpose in life, and it's your purpose, nothing more. Love, unity, connection, business, support one another. Beautiful babies, black babies, keeping our community safe and intact, taking care of the elders, taking care of the young, taking care of the poor, taking care of the needy. At some point in times, it's a blessing that comes back. Like I said, if you have, give it away. Give anything. If it's money that you have, give it. If it is love that you have, give it. Even just that pain, give the pain away. It's not your pain. This is also one point, and I'll be coming on that. I'll be coming on that. We're going to be having our guest for 1 hour. And then, because a lot of people reached out to me yesterday, was like, hey, any F4, please make sure now you start finding time for us. Because we see some of the time you're just busy hosting. And we're not digesting, you're not taking a lot, take so much. So yes, this is going to be a topic. Give your pain, give it away. Just give that pain away. Doesn't belong to you. Doesn't belong to you. So when we say give away, sharing, so it doesn't matter whether you're sharing just your wealth, because when we say give, people always think you have to give money. When we say share, people always think, oh, I have to share, like I'm giving away something. No, you're not giving away something. You're taking something. You're taking something. So give it away. Give it away. If you're lying in the hospital and you're having that back pain, like a couple of days, I've just been having some waist pain, some back pain, and I keep like, okay, be there. But I give it away. I give it away. So yeah, accommodate you for some time, but I give it away. So yes, that's the happy movement. That's the spirit. That's the 12 12. That's the Ubuntu. That's the know me, know you. Okay. So tomorrow we're gonna hear brother Habari, and I still owe somebody. I have 7 minutes to go. I don't want to cheat your time. You don't want to cheat mine. I still owe this our young son who said, Dr. Susan, you have to make sorry, you have to make a conversation on um, you know, what was that? Bully or this this kind of betrayal or how why are women being I don't know, domestic violence. I don't want to use some of those terms that just don't make sense. What is happening? And I had promised that I'm going to do that on the money show to talk about that. But after some time, some things just begin to answer themselves. Probably it wouldn't have been the right time. We're going to talk about that. But I did also make you understand that, these things are coming from our past. And in the spirit of unity in Africa, you just see, like I said, at the conference, there was just too much humility and respect. You didn't see any eyes that were looking like could harm anybody anytime soon. Until we leave the conference now and we get into the physical, then we begin to see those things that we're not even supposed to see anyway. So yes, stay calm. Every other thing, anytime that the fruit will come, the message will come, it will just be delivered in the right passage that we are. If there's some things that are not happening or we're not talking about anything, just know, just understand that it's not necessary right now. It's just good the way it is. Okay. Let's not bore some holes or pick up some things. Let's try to support the weak. And that's a strength. That's one of our biggest strength. That's where our power lies, to be able to still say, I understand, even when you did it. Hmm, I understand. Yes. So we're gonna keep on it. David Wine, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, we're gonna keep on it. We're gonna hold tight to it. Like we say, the more we love, the more. And people keep asking, now you're always saying love. What is it that is love? What is it that is love all the time? And people begin to think about some heart, think about some rent, think about some having dinner together, and just think about and the only simple thing that I used to say, this love is first of all loving yourself so much that you don't even want to, that you don't even want to share. So when you have that abundance, it's so easy to contaminate each other. Remember COVID. And I said our COVID, our pandemic that we should contaminate each other is the Ubuntu. Yeah. We don't need to take any jab for that. We don't need to. Okay. So thanks, thanks, thanks. And I see another thing. Hey, wait a minute. Another feedback that we had on yesterday's conversation was that ability for us to keep on this spirit of seeing the things that work for us. I asked brother Grant when he came in, like, did you see this coming? Because we don't believe it. Our unity is coming so fast that it's even can cause us also the fear again. Like, who? Now we're uniting too much. like you're getting the abundance and like, oh, this is too much. I can handle. No, be ready, psychologically ready. I made this a couple of times on the conversations here. Be ready for the unity. It is too sweet to believe it. It is too good to believe it. But so it's also a psychological preparation. It's like you've been in poverty, you've been impoverished for whatever reason. And then somebody just drop you some paper money so much. I know a lot of people that have won lottery here and they gave it millions of lottery. They just lived a happy, simple life in their neighborhood and just be normal people. And then suddenly they just play and get some millions of lottery. And they're like, no, lottery? Mm-mm-mm. And they took it back. So that's that spirit. That's the spirit of like, do I really need it now? Because I can imagine, yes, who we let us win a lot. We have a lot of our people to feed and to nurture. But of course, it's still a value, it's still a virtue to like, yes, take it, solve some problems with it, keep it for people who can handle. Like me, I can't really handle money. No, I just can handle what I do here. But somebody needs to handle that part if I need to, do things that need that. But that's not my business. That was not my gift. I wasn't trained. I wasn't brought in this purpose to do that. So somebody needs to do it. Okay. And I enjoy it. But me, this is what I know doing and I was brought to do. And I'm going to do it. Share so much love until, you know, um, we don't even have, and we can never lack. Can you imagine? Because the more you give, the more you have. The more you give, the more you have. You don't want to believe how many messages I get a day, just showering me with blessings, with prayers. You don't want to believe how many calls I get from the continent. You just get young people just like, hey, Africa, I'm here. Mama, I just want to call to greet. I want to tell you we're doing well in Sierra Leone, and I want to tell you everybody's doing fine. Yes, there are some challenges. The youth are still not getting it, but we are fine. So I just want to give it back to you. Can you imagine? How much can you pay for that? Just somebody just calling you from the universe just to greet and bless you and give you a feedback. No, don't worry, because they know I worry. We know we all worry. No, don't worry. It's okay. I'm fine today. So just enjoy your day. Okay. Don't worry too much about me. Give yourself the gift of love. That is the point. That is the magic. How many people? We're living in such a world where everything is just. That's why 12, 12, 23rd. Hey, hmm, I don't want to believe this. We're gonna, like we said, we're gonna shayo, shayo. We're gonna shayo, and we cannot dare miss this unity anymore. And some people think it's hard. Some people are thinking, oh, if we were doing entertainment here, if we were talking about some of the things that actually are not relevant, so we'll have hundreds and thousands of people watching. So why is African Daily with all these beautiful guests and all these teachings? And they're like, no. Do you think everybody has to be a part? Do you think it's a crowd thing? In as much as we love it, in as much as you remember, the chosen are the chosen. So what tells you that the creator doesn't know that, or the divine doesn't know who the chosens are? Okay, who deserves this love and the intentions about it. So it's not about the figuring, it's not about the, but if you're here and you haven't subscribed, subscribe in any case. Okay, and make sure your notification is on. It's like the 12:12 alarm. So set your 12:12 alarm, and under it, you can put Pan African Daily at this time. You can download our Pan African anthem and song and the cute, beautiful one. Put it behind your alarm. I already told you it's there. I don't know if somebody missed it. We would see send the audio. Just download it. A lot of people were like, "Oh," and we're gonna do a team context, a song context on that our song that you know. So that's what Africans are gonna be creating. This is the Africa that we want, and we're gonna do a live audition on a song context. The rhythm is already there. Now we're gonna do it in different versions, like I said, whether it's hip hop, it's rap, it's Afrobeat, it's reggae, is Zumba, is capoeira, everything that we're gonna do. We're gonna use all our elements of our talent, to create a song context and enjoy this beautiful rhythm here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, Rachel Binder is just coming in and saying, thank you, Queen. Thank you, Rachel. I know you're busy, 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 Queen. I know what you carry as a mother. So you signing in to show your beautiful face here. We love you. Thank you so much for being here. Wambui is also say, I'm here. I enjoyed the conversation so much. Thank you, Wambui. This is from Kenya. This is definitely from yeah. No, no, no. Yes. Uh-huh. From Kenya. The name is so very popular and is for kings and queens and wherever. So thank you all of you for making it here today. And Cheryl, I see your comments, all of you, the queens. I see Vena. I've been pushing all your comments all here. David, yes. Kwame, Travelite, Johnny Johnson, Johnny Boy, One Love, Home and Abroad. 1212 King is also here. Thank you. Kwame Palavin. Thank you also. Do we have to go through this? Our family. Basil Sinclair, say love to you all. Thank you so much, Basil. And let us meet tomorrow. We're 3 minutes out, and we see ourselves tomorrow again, same time with our brother Yabari, and coming from another perspective of what the Africa conference was all about. Now, I just want to don't say I'm wasting your time. I want to play a little jingle again, about the kingdom.
After centuries of misguidance caused by slavery, colonization, lack of awareness of our history, and institutional disinformation, a new Africa is on the move, determined and getting organized. Afrika tuko pamoja. Welcome to the United Kingdoms of Great Africa. The United Kingdoms of Great Africa is the credo of the alliance movement of all African intelligences around a common ideal, the unity and development of a strong, conquering and completely dedogmatized Africa through the channel of a strong organization called the Africa We Want Global. You are an African, Afro-descendant, researcher, historian, scientist, or simply an NGO. You want to be part of this great historical march towards the total freedom of an uninhibited Africa? Visit our website www.africawewantglobal.org. Register and discover the range of our platforms for change. AfricaWeWantGlobal.org. Join the kingdom, be part of it. An initiative of Dr. Susan Tata.
Greetings, Hotep, the Pan-African Daily TV community. This is your host and founder, Dr. Susan Tata, Eni Efua, aka Queen Mother of Embo Kingdom in Africa. Welcome. Beautiful May is a month of celebration as we look forward to embrace May 23rd, which is the baby born of the Organization of African Unity, May 23rd to 25th. We're going to be drumming at 12 p.m. I am calling all Pan-Africanist content creators, bloggers, YouTubers, journalists, writers, storytelling, social media experts. Join me on this May. We're going to bring Africa on the globe. Please join me. If you are a media expert, a journalist, a news editor, a YouTuber, a content creator on the continent and in the diaspora, if your skills are journalism, if your skills are public speaking, if your skills are content creator, right? Motivational, inspirational, public speakers, join me. Join the Pan-African Daily TV Media Network. Join the Pan-African Daily TV Media Network. If you're an African, born in Africa or out of Africa, join me. The Pan-African Daily TV Media Network is calling on you. This is our time to tell our stories. This is our time to work together. Power in unity in the media. The media, we all know, is the biggest weapon to tell our stories, to share our content by us, from us, made by us, for us. So join me again. As I say, we're starting on May 23rd. We want to bring the diaspora and its continent, Africa, together through our stories, through the unity that reigns between us. If you can speak, so you can tell a story. If you can speak, so you can sing, so you have a talent, so you can talk, and you can tell a good story about Africa. So join me, join my network, Pan-African Daily TV, all of us, one voice for Africans worldwide, for one Africa by Africans for Africa. Join now. Register now on Pan-African Daily TV. Sign in. Send us an email at panafricandailytv@gmail.com. You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want. Unity, consciousness,
our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.